Hey guys, it's Emma. Today I'm going to be doing a different type of video for you. Recently I've been getting some requests for videos other than beauty videos, so I'm super excited to be doing this video. I'm going to be talking to you guys about my crazy creeper stalker experience. But before we get into the video, I want to know what types of videos you guys would like to see. So comment them in the comment section down below. You can request beauty videos and you can request anything else. I want to know what types of videos you guys would like to see because I want to be posting more content that you want to see and that you want to watch. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the story time. So the story takes place in, I think it was April or May of 2015. I see this person on quite a few different occasions and it starts building up. So it's kind of like a timeline the way I tell it. I've told this story quite a few times. So I think it was April or May. I come home from work. I was still working at the restaurant at the time. I come home from work. I ask Joe if he wants to run a couple errands with me. I think I had to pick up like dish soap, detergent, and some car signs because I was selling my car at the time. He didn't want to go with me, so I get in my car and I drive to the local grocery store, which is actually the store I work at now, present day. So I picked up everything that I needed to get at the grocery store and I get into line. I'm on my phone and nonchalantly, and I notice this odor, and I'm like, what is that smell? Like, it just smelled like BO, like this person had not cleaned themselves in days. And I look up, and this guy who's like 6'5", he probably looks like 50 years old, he's looking at me, and I'm like, hi, like, I figured maybe he thought he knew me or something. When I work at the restaurant, and I go out in public, a lot of people recognize me as being their waitress, so I thought I had waited on him before or something. He asks me if I'm selling my car, and at that time I was like, oh my gosh, maybe he needs to buy a car for his son or daughter, like, oh my gosh, this is perfect if he's interested in my car. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to sell my car, it's a good car. I'm like talking my car up, and he's like, oh, like what year is it, what make, and I tell him that information, and he's like, oh, he's like, I've had a couple of those cars, he's like, depending on the color that you have, they tend to rust easily. And that's kind of just a weird thing to say. And I was like, well, it's a blue car. It's the blue one. He's like, oh, I had that car. He's like, it's a good car. So right now, as I'm thinking about this in the future, I basically told this stranger what car I drive. So I'm just going to say that first. He's like, well, I'll see you around, and he gives me a wink. That's weird. First of all, it's really weird. I trust my intuition, and right then and there, my intuition was like, hi, Emma, like, what are you doing? Like, don't talk to this guy. He's pretty weird. Like, I just got a really bad feeling about him. At this time, a month has passed. So I was at work the one day, and I was making a list of the things that I needed again. I think I was making my videos again, and I wanted to pick up a couple of things for a video I was making. So I go to the store, the local grocery store, the same store I was at the last time I met him, and I have my work uniform on and everything, and I go to the makeup aisles. So there's about like 3 different aisles in the grocery store of makeup. You're never really going to find a guy in the makeup aisles, first of all. So I'm kneeling down, I'm looking at, I think, CoverGirl or something, I don't know. I feel someone behind me. And I look up, and it's the same guy. I recognized him immediately because he had the same smell. So I'm like, hi, how are you? He's like, oh, I'm good, how are you? I was kind of speechless to say. He's like, funny seeing you here. He's like, do you work here? And he's looking right at me. At the time I stood up, and he's looking at my shirt. It says the restaurant. It does not say my name, so he does not know my name. And I'm like, oh, I just got off work. He's like, oh, so you don't work here? I'm like, no, I work at, and I told him the restaurant that I worked at, because it said it on my shirt. He's like, oh, I've been there a couple of times. I'm like, yeah, I work there, here, and there. My intuition was going off. I had a bad feeling in my stomach. I was not trying to tell him a lot of information. So he's just talking to me about, like, random stuff, asking me if I sold my car. The fact that he remembered that I was trying to sell my car kind of freaked me out. Kind of try to close the conversation off because I felt super awkward. And I think I bought one thing and I left. Like, I wanted to spend quite a bit at the drugstore to get some makeup for my video, but I just felt really awkward and I decided to leave. I worked the next day. I think it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. I go to work Saturday morning, and I'm there for a little bit. I open Saturday mornings at the restaurant, and my manager comes up to me. It's like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. She's like, you have a request? I'm like, really? Because I wasn't expecting my regulars. I have quite a few regulars that see me at the restaurant at the time. I don't work there anymore, but I had quite a few people that would request me, but I didn't know any of them that would come in Saturday morning. I'm racking my brain. I'm trying to figure out who it is. And I go up behind the table and I see the guy, and my heart drops. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how did he find me? I don't know how he knew that I worked, because he requested me. Like, he must have known my name. So I go up to the guy. He still smells the same. This scent is still there. Like, his BO, he reeks. I've recognized it. Even my manager said something about it. I'm like, hi, how are you? He's like, oh, I'm good. It's funny that you're working today. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, my manager told me that you requested me. And he was like he acted all shocked. I'm like, what can I get you to drink? He's like, oh, I'll have a coffee. And I'm like, okay. So I grab the coffee and I grab our regular creamer that we use. He's like, no. He's like, I want the other creamer, which is the vanilla creamer. It's kind of like our luxury creamer. I bring him the other creamer. I can tell that he's stalling at this point because he doesn't want to order. Normally, when you order breakfast, it's super simple. Like, our breakfast menu isn't all that detailed. He tells me everything that he wants. It's pretty extravagant what he wants, and it's detailed. And I get every single detail down that he wants. I go back. I put it into the kitchen. The kitchen gets the order. I come out with ketchup, jellies, like everything that he needs for his meal. He's like, it's really nice to see you, Emma. And I was shocked because I had not told him my name. He did not know my name. My intuition was going off. Like, I had a really bad feeling in my stomach. So I go up to my manager and I tell her what happened, how I met him a couple of times, and he just caught me off of guard, and he was overly friendly, and he kept looking me up and down, just eyeing me like I was something to eat. And she's like, are you going to be okay to, like, finish his order? I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. Like, I've dealt with creepy people before because I was a waitress. Since I've dyed my hair blonde, I've gotten a lot of attention from guys at the restaurant, and it hasn't really been good attention, to be honest. I'm used to it, basically. So at the time, I go back to the kitchen, I bring him his order. He's like, oh, he's like, I didn't order this. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, because you ordered it because I wrote it down. He's like, oh, it must be a mistake. He's like, I ordered this. Clearly, he's stalling again. So we fix his bill. I take the food out. He's finished with his order. I take his plates. I put him in the kitchen, and I give him his check. And as I'm setting his check down, he grabs my arm like this and puts it on the bill, the checkbook. And he's like, it's been so nice to see you, Emma. He's like, can I please have your number? He's holding my wrist at the time, and my heart was beating super fast. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable giving out that information. No. And I backed up into the table that was next to him, and he's like, but why? He's like, the way we met, everything was so perfect. We've been going great. I'm like, I'm only 18. He's like, age is just a number, baby. Oh my gosh, like, this guy seriously thinks, like, something's going on here. I went and I told my manager what happened, and she's like, Emma, she's like, you're going to go to the office. She escorted me to the office, and she finished his transaction. I believe he just had to pay. I think that was it. So she takes his credit card because he paid with a credit card. She swipes it, and 2 receipts print off. 1 receipt goes to him, and she keeps the other receipt. So as he's signing away, she gives me one of the copies, and she's like, just look up to see if you can find anything about him, because we both were super curious. So I'm like, okay. I'm still in the back office. He was procrastinating leaving. He was asking the manager, like, where I was. She's like, oh, she's doing something else. And he was talking to the other waitress there. He didn't leave for about a half an hour, which is weird. It's weird. Why aren't you leaving? Like, are you waiting for something? Like, why can't you just leave? So eventually he leaves. At the time, I'm still in the back office, and I'm looking up information about this guy, who he is, and we find out that he is a registered pedophile in New York. It doesn't say why or what happened or why he's on that list. It just says that he's a registered pedophile, and there's his picture. I told my manager, we were both freaking out. She's like, are you going to be okay? I'm like, I'm fine. A month goes by, I leave the restaurant and I go to work at the grocery store. I believe one of the days I was working there, it was super busy. I have on my name tag. On the receipt that prints off that you give to the customer, it says, "Thank you for letting me serve you," and it has my name and my initials on it. So when I'm at my register and I'm checking people out, I don't make a lot of eye contact because I'm concentrating on scanning things correctly and making sure everything pops up on the computer. It's super busy. I'm scanning everything, and I finish one transaction and I start another one. I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm good, how are you?" And I look up and I make eye contact with him. I smell his stench. I'm like, oh my God, my heart falls. I rip off my name tag nonchalantly. I rip it off. He tells me, he's like, "I know you." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Didn't you used to work at the restaurant?" I'm like, "No, I have no idea what you're talking about." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been working at this grocery store for 2 years." He's like, "Really?" And I'm scanning things and he comes up close to me. He's like, "Because I don't forget a pretty face." Oh, I'm like, "I'm sure you've just gotten me confused with someone else." I'm freaking out mentally. And I finish the transaction and he leaves. And as he's leaving, I'm crying inside because he has my name on his receipt. So he knows who I am because I just lied about who I was. So I go back and I tell my managers everything that has happened. I told them we've had problems with him at the past, with my past job. And I told him that he's a registered pedophile in New York. A couple of months go by. My hair since then has been cut. I'm wearing it down. He comes up to me. He's like, "I need some batteries for this." And he looks at me up and down, and I have my name tag on, and it says my Emma, and it has my last initial. And he's like, "Emma." I'm like, "Yep." Then he looks at his flashlight. He's like, "I need to get batteries for this." He's like, "It's been a while since I've lit up my flashlight." "Well, batteries are right over there." He's like, "Oh, okay." He's trying to be super sly. So I ended up taking care of him. I scan his batteries, I put them in the bag, and I give him the bag. He's like, "Oh, I won't be needing the bag." I'm like, "Okay." He opens the batteries. This guy hasn't even paid yet, and he puts them in the flashlight. He lights them up. He's like, "I just got to make sure she works." He's like, "I'm going to need her tonight." His flashlight is a her? Why do you need your flashlight? What's happening? Are you going to bury a dead girl? Like, I turn off my light and I go all the way back to where the managers are. You can watch the cameras. I told my one friend because she was back there and she went out and she was like, "I'm just going to make sure he's not there." And I guess he came back in and he asks my friend, he's like, "Have you seen Emma?" And she's like, "Oh, no, I haven't." He's like, "Oh, okay." And we watch him on the cameras as he walks through every single aisle of the store looking for me. Why he came back into the store and was looking for me again, I honestly have no idea. To this day, it still freaks me out. I still get a bad feeling when I talk about him. I have not seen him or heard from him or talked to him. I don't know what's going on. I won't look him up. It scares me. This was one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me in my entire life. I don't know. He might not even be a stalker, but the fact that he always asks for me and how he knew me and how he, like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, did I tell him too much information? I mean, he's a registered pedophile in New York. I just want to let you know, this is just my piece of advice for you to take away from this story. If you have a bad feeling in your stomach, you get a bad feeling from some person, trust your gut, listen to your intuition, call someone and get help. Even if it may not be nothing, you may have had a stomach ache, but you just get a bad feeling, do something about it because you never know. You honestly never know. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to request videos, beauty related and non-beauty related. And subscribe if you are not already. Don't forget to follow me on my social media. I will put that in the description box down below. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.